children that bear the brunt of the pain and disruption of their lives. Many countries in the continent, honorable members will remember, have gone through many conflicts. South Africa is one case in point. We are a nation born out of a conflict, and we chose a negotiated settlement, which has proven to be the best and long-lasting solution to our problems. As we stand today, we still continue talking about our problems. Some are not resolved, but the door of dialogue engagement remains widely open. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. Honorable Du Toit, you are the next
Thank
follow-up.
you. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. Deputy President, it's common knowledge that you yourself and the ANC has historical ties with Russia. President Ramaphosa was reportedly unhappy with the Minister Naledi Pandor's strong statement calling Russia to withdraw their troops from the Ukraine. Honorable Mabuza, you and the presidency continue to support Russia or stay neutral, as you call it, even if the possibility exists that Western and NATO countries might impose sanctions against South Africa on that view. Will you continue to hold this stance, even if the possibility exists that sanctions might be imposed against South Africa, thus placing the stance of the ANC above that of the country? Thank you, Deputy Chair.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much. I think we must clarify one position, that the leader of government is the president. And in any foreign matters, the president would be the rightful person to guide the country. And I think we support the statement made by the president that will prefer mediation, dialogue as the best way to achieve peace, sustainable peace. Yes, we've got strong relations with the then Soviet Union, the now Russian Federation. We are cooperating together in the platform called BRICS. That does not mean that we are blind to the situation that is obtaining now between the conflict that has arisen between Russia and Ukraine. In that conflict, we are calling for mediation, we are calling for diplomacy. We have not decided to take any side, and we don't want to go to historical challenges that has developed to date that is at the center of the conflict. It will never help anyone either to blame Russia or to blame NATO. The best sensible way is to resolve through dialogue the conflict that is there between the two countries. So we'll continue to urge countries, our international relations policy, our South African stand on mediation, on diplomacy. We'll continue to push it until we achieve peace, because as a country, we're also born out of conflict. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. The next follow-up will be from Honorable Arnolds. Honorable Arnolds.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. Deputy President, the root cause of the crisis in Eastern Europe is the rapid eastward expansion of NATO in Europe since the fall of the Soviet Union. NATO is a war instrument used by the United States to unsettle nations and bully others into submission. Russia is correct to feel concerned that having American missiles in Ukraine in the form of NATO would be a threat to their national security. Why has the attention been on Russia defending its sovereignty rather than the insatiable appetite for expansion demonstrated by NATO over the past 2 decades? What is your government's position on the eastward expansion of NATO? Thank you.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much. I think, as you have said, taking the root causes of the problem, that is the expansion of NATO towards the east, you're correct. Because there were agreements that were reached not to expand NATO even with 1 inch towards the east. And some of these agreements were not honored. But be that as it may, we've reached the point where we are now, where we think that the best way to resolve all the problems that has accumulated for all these years, the expansion of NATO, the aggression of NATO, and the response from the Russian Federation. We think there's a possibility of opening a platform where we can mediate, where the parties can talk and resolve their problems. We want to thank the Russian Federation, especially President Vladimir Putin, for opening space for mediation and talks between his government and the government of Ukraine. As we're speaking now, they're in a meeting, they're trying to resolve their differences.
Now go to question number 3, as asked by the Honorable Dangwa. Over to you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Our immigration system is grappling with the implementation of stringent measures to deal with the influx of undocumented foreign nationals into our country who ultimately compete with our citizens over the limited resources in order to survive. This competition, Honorable Deputy Chair, often leads to tensions which we see in most and some of the communities, which then manifest in different forms of campaigns and actions that in the main have negative undertones. Rest assured, Deputy Chair, we are mindful of the legitimate concerns of our citizens where they feel there's no sufficient action by our law enforcement agencies to deal with the issues of undocumented foreign nationals. This is why we have now established a border management agency to attend to the existing porous borders and ensure that we improve the situation. The Department of Home Affairs has a legal mandate to deal with concerns relating to undocumented foreign nationals. That is why we discourage any anti-foreigner sentiments and the destruction of property associated with this protest and related activities. This includes protests and marches that engender violence directed at foreign businesses and undocumented foreign workers. While the concerns that are raised may be legitimate, they must be raised and attended to within the scope of the law. We call for calm restraint and adherence to lawful means from all parties who are involved in the ongoing confrontation. We're a country whose constitution is hailed as a progressive tool that is in our hand in terms of its content, more especially in its promotion and protection of human rights of all people who live in this country without really defining their status of citizenship. To give effect to this important constitutional imperative, Cabinet has adopted a national action plan to combat racism, racial discrimination, xenophobia, and related intolerances in March 2019. Among other things, National Action Plan is aimed at facilitating humane and dignified approach to managing migrants, refugees, and asylum seekers. Under the banner of the National Action Plan to combat racism, racial discrimination, xenophobia, and related intolerance, the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, in partnership with relevant stakeholders such as Anti-Racism Network of South Africa, is conducting social mobilization campaigns to address racism, racial discrimination, xenophobia, and other intolerances amongst society. The Department of Home Affairs conducts its law enforcement activities in full compliance of the Immigration Act, develop capacity and systems to track, trace, and repatriate all undocumented migrants who might have entered South Africa illegally. To this end, the Rapid Response Task Team has been established with the sole task of developing rapid response mechanisms. This will be linked to early warning systems and will collate incidents of racist, xenophobic offenses that are reported to the law enforcement agencies. This information will assist to follow up on cases that have gone through our National Prosecuting Authority for prosecution, including judicial outcomes. Of course, we are concerned about the recent increase of criminal activities involving foreign nationals, Deputy Chair, especially in the Gauteng province. This includes the recent cash in transit, a heist that took place in Rosenville, in which 9 people died and several others were injured. Most of these people that were involved in that cash in transit heist were foreign nationals. The plans of these lawbreakers were foiled as a result of the intelligence-driven campaigns by law enforcement agencies. We must at this point salute the work of our law enforcement agencies in the successful execution of that operation. This continues across the country as a strong fight against criminals, for crime is crime, irrespective of the nationality of the perpetrator. The Minister of Police has advised that members of the Public Order Policing Unit are currently deployed in Alexander Township in Gauteng province in order to assist with crime prevention interventions and to contain the spread of attacks on foreign-owned businesses. Community policing strategy also provides for police to work with communities to address threats to peace, to stability, and including acts of xenophobic attacks on foreign nationals. We thus encourage cooperation between concerned community members and law enforcement agencies in ensuring that all issues raised are resolved peacefully and within the confines of the law. We must, as South Africans, abide by the values and behavior patterns that will make us break our hurtful and damaging past and keep our moral compass focused on the path of renewal and growth. Thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson.
Thank you, Deputy President. Honorable Dango, your follow-up, please.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair. Honorable Deputy President, we welcome the interventions that you have highlighted, especially those that are geared towards finding a lasting solution to the increasing concern about our porous borders and ensuring that the issue of the large number of undocumented immigrants does not lead to uncontrolled levels of lawlessness and Afrophobia. The issue of cross-border crime, especially in provinces such as Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, Free State, and Limpopo, has demonstrated an urgent need to allocate more resources to crime prevention and monitoring measures and proper resourcing of border management. Beyond the Border Management Authority, are there any plans to ensure the proper resourcing of border management and intelligence-driven initiatives like the ones that we saw in Rosettenville to ensure the protection of communities from cross-border crimes? I thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Tangor, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. The issue of cross-border crime, especially affecting communities along the borders, crime such as car theft, stock theft, just to name a few. These are of great concern to the state, and this matter is receiving priority attention from the Justice, Crime Prevention and Security Cluster. We can assure the House that Border Management Authority will from now henceforth be properly and sufficiently funded to ensure that borderline infrastructure is properly maintained. Already the recruitment of the first cohort of border guards is currently underway. On the intelligence-driven initiative to deal with border crimes, the agency will collaborate with other security and law enforcement agencies in the Justice, Crime, Prevention and Security Cluster. The Department of Employment and Labor also developed a national labor migration policy, which is aimed to achieve a balance in the following major areas: to introduce maximum quotas on the total number of documented foreign nationals with work permits, work visas that can be employed in major economic sectors in our country, such as agriculture, hospitality and tourism, and construction. The national labor migration policy will be complemented by small business interventions and enforcement of a list of undesirable sectors where foreign nationals cannot be allocated business visas. Amendment to the Small Business Act will limit foreign nationals establishing small businesses and trading in some sectors of our economy. Government will continue to impose various obligations on both employers and the foreign national to transfer skills to locals, and permits will be limited to specific durations and time for foreign nationals who are here on work permits. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. Honorable Hadebe.
Honorable Deputy Chairperson, my follow-up question to the Honorable Deputy President is, the IFP has, in response to the social mobilization against undocumented persons, proposed a bill that seeks to protect jobs for South Africans and put South Africans first. I would like to know what is government's rapid response to address the massive shortcomings in identifying all undocumented foreign nationals over the next financial year. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. And thanks to the follow-up question. The the Department of Home Affairs is conducting some research and follow-ups on all undocumented foreign nationals that are within the country. They trace these foreign nationals. If they can't give satisfactory explanation, they are taken back to their country. But the biggest challenge that we face is that as we take them back to their country, the following day they come in because of our porous borders. Hence the Border Management Agency to ensure that our borders are not porous. Now, there are foreign nationals that are here within the country legitimately because they've applied, they've got work permits. There are certain skills that we don't have in abundance in the country, so we allow foreign nationals to come with those skills in hospitality, in construction, skills in education, in our university sector. So those foreign nationals are allowed to be in the country for a specified period, and they are also allowed to renew their permits if they so wish, and government still feels we're still running short of those skills. So we think the Border Management Agency will help a lot to stabilize the movement of people, undocumented people, in and out of our borders, and ensure that we limit the crime that is happening in our borders, affecting communities that are located within those borders. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. Honorable Mutamai, you have the next follow-up.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. Motlatsa Tautona, Tona ya Tshireletso o sa tswa go bua bosheng jaana gore bontsi ba digongwana tsa bosenyi mo Aforika Borwa di eteletswe pele ke batswakwa. A o ka netefatsa se kgotsa Tona ya Tshireletso o ne a tlaopa fa e le gore Tona ya Tshireletso o ne a bua boammaruri go pala eng jaanong go lwantsha le go fedisa digongwana tse tsa bosenyi? A diakgelo tse ga se di tlhotlheletso tsa bosemorafe jo bo aparetseng naga ya rona ya Aforika Borwa? Ke a leboga, Motlatsa.
Over to you, Honorable Deputy President.
Honorable Deputy Chair, I'm not in a good space here because I don't have any interpretation facilities. So I've not heard the question exactly. I don't know how I can be assisted.
Deputy Chairperson, I'm rising on a point of order.
Advocate, can the table assist, please? What is your point of order? What is your point of order, Honorable Mokavse?
Deputy Chairperson, it clearly shows from your side incompetence. Because when we started this sitting, there was a promise that there is indeed interpretation. It clearly shows how you undermine other languages, and it's totally unacceptable.
Advocate, can we get assistance from the table? Because Honorable Ryder is indicating on the chat group that he heard the interpretation, which means for parliamentarians, interpretation was available. The Deputy President said he doesn't have interpretation available. It doesn't mean we haven't provided interpretation. So that can we just ask on Advocate Pindela, is there any way that we can assist the Deputy President?
Deputy Chair, I will just find out. Perhaps we can have the interpretation switched on so that then the interpreter can interpret. to the benefit of the Deputy President.
Whilst we are waiting for that to take place, I will ask Honorable Boshoff now to ask a follow-up, and we will come back to the question of Honorable Mutsamai.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair, and good afternoon to the Deputy President. Deputy President, xenophobia has broken out at least 8 times in South Africa over the past 10 years, with reprisal attacks in Zambia and Namibia. Political parties are feeding the flames, and now we have seen the rise of nationalist groups, particularly in Gauteng. At the heart of the undocumented foreigner debate is a dysfunctional, corrupt, and broken Home Affairs Department, presided over by Minister Aaron Motsoaledi. Deputy President, excuse me, will you support the DA's vote of no confidence in the cabinet to get rid of underperformers like Minister Motsoaledi for the sake of our country and the sake of the people living in our country? Thank you, Deputy Chair.
I don't know, is it still the same question? Or was this just used as a starting point? But I don't know, is it still the same question? So, Honorable Deputy President, you can decide whether it is still the same question.
Well, thanks, Deputy Chair. We must re-emphasize the fact that, yes, our borders are porous, hence the development of the Border Management Agency. This is an agency that would incorporate all our law enforcement departments and agencies to take care of our border management. And we're going to strengthen the infrastructure on the borders to ensure that these borders are not porous. Because, remember, the problem that we're facing, it's porous borders. You take undocumented foreign nationals back to their countries, and the following week they are back using the same porous borders. So the best way is to ensure that we strengthen our border management and ensure that we strengthen the infrastructure, which is currently happening. And I'm very happy about the work that the Minister of Home Affairs is doing. Instead, let us focus on the problem, not on the person. From where we're sitting, Minister Motsoaledi is doing the best he can to improve. The implementation of the Border Management Agency came under his leadership, and he's implementing it. We're going to have border guards. We're going to have improved infrastructure in our borders to ensure that people who have been taken back to their home don't come back again. So I'm quite confident about the measures that we have put in place to ensure that we limit these cross-border crimes and limit our porous borders. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. Before we move on, can we get whether there is the question of Honorable Mutsamai is available now? Advocate? Can the interpreter just put it on the system? Who am I speaking to?
You're speaking to me, Deputy Chairperson. We are attending to it.
So does the Deputy President have the question?
Not yet, Deputy Chair.
So let's continue. We will come back. Yeah, let's continue. Honorable Deputy President, sorry for that now.
I was going to make a request, Chair, the Deputy Chair, that we get
we get the question.
We should get Advocate Pindela as the South Sutu speaker to just translate the question so that the Deputy President can deal with the matter. Thanks.
There is a proposal from the chairperson. Chairperson, in any case, can you take over after this, please? There is a proposal from the chairperson. Advocate Pindela, is it fine with you to assist us to get that question over and done with?
Yeah, Deputy Chairperson will get the interpreter to deal with the question.
Can the interpreter please, since
Yes.
the chairperson proposed, let us not move from there. Can the interpreter please then assist us now? Because after this, we will give over to the chairperson to preside over the proceedings further.
Deputy Chair, may we request that Honorable Mutsamai repeat the question?
Honorable Mutsamai, if you don't mind, can you please repeat the question? Honorable Kenny Mutsamai. Is Honorable Mutsamai still on the platform?
Maybe he wants you to tell him in Sesotho how to repeat.
That is exactly what I'm talking about, Chairperson, how members of this council undermine other languages and you are simply endorsing it.
Honorable Mokausa, you are not allowed to speak and no.
No,
Honorable
she is allowed.
John,
Somebody can
John.
simply say, I must translate. Can I speak English? Or can I translate
Speak.
this, my question in English? What she
Honorable
Honorable
Mutsamai, can you do it in
Order, honorable
Setswana?
members.
In Setswana.
Honorable Mutsamai,
Yeah, I'm speaking
I
Setswana.
ask you to repeat the question. I ask you to repeat the question. Can you repeat it, please?
Okay.
Yes.
Ke a leboga motlatsa modulasetulo. Motlatsa Tautona, tona ya tshireletso o sa tsa go bua bošeng jaana gore bontsi ba digongwana tsa bosenyi mo Aforika Borwa di eteletswe pele ke batswakwa. A o netefatsa se? Kgotsa tona ya tshireletso o ne a tlaopa. Fa e le gore tona ya tshireletso o ne a bua boammaaruri, go pala eng jaanong go lwantsha le go fedisa digwenegwene tse tsa bosenyi? A dikgakgelo tse entsweng jalo ke tona ga di atlolesetse bosenyi o bogwenegwene bo etswang ke batho ba ba tswang kwa? Ga se tsone tse di tlhotlheletsang go aparegale go sa rataneng mo Aforika Borwa? Ke a leboga. Ke okeditse mo le mo gore a kgone go e tlhaloganya.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mutsamai. We appreciate the fact that you were prepared to come back and repeat the question. Over to you, Honorable Deputy President.
Honorable Deputy Chair, the question has been repeated in the same language. And on my side, there's no interpretation.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. We take that. I will just broadly tell the Deputy President what the question was. Apparently, the Defense Minister indicated that most of the crimes in South Africa that is taking place, it's done by foreign nationals. So what are government doing about, or is it not necessarily the correct statement that was made by the defense minister. That is, in a nutshell, the question that was.
No,
That
no,
is
no, no,
not
it's
in a
not that.
nutshell. You are wrong.
You are taking a you are wrong now. You are wrong. So how we need.
You're
That
right,
is
Chair.
your
Thank you
question,
very much.
Deputy
No,
Chairperson.
no, no, Deputy President.
That is your question. That is not our question. Get the interpretation to interpret to the Deputy President.
The Deputy President on his side cannot hear the interpreter. That is what he indicated. Okay, so interpreter, can
Dikeledi house. Dikeledi Emanya.
On a point of order.
I'm raising my hand.
Necessary.
There are
Can the
rules of the
interpreter
House.
just
Deputy Chair, I'm raising my house in a very disciplined manner. I'm not howling. I'm raising my house with respect that the Deputy Chair should be allowed to chair the proceedings.
Because there is no order.
If I'm allowed,
There is no point of order. I'm asking Advocate Pindela, you wanted to say? Advocate?
Deputy Chairperson, Deputy Chairperson, the question broadly is as follows. The minister recently stated that criminal syndicates are led by foreign nationals. Was the minister speculating? If so, why not resolve this matter? Are these statements not encouraging xenophobia in the country?
Thank you, Advocate. Honorable Deputy President, we are.
Yeah, thank you.
Apologize for the ruckus that went on there. Continue.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Well, I understand and.
Honorable Deputy Chairperson, on a point of order.
And the order is?
You are not going to come here and call us names in the sitting of
I
the
called
council.
no one a name.
We've got every right to
you are
correct
out of order.
you. Must stop
no
being
order.
upfront. Stop being upfront for the languages that you don't understand.
Order.
It is
Honorable
not our
Makause,
problem that there's no
and you don't have
interpretation
to shout.
yet.
You don't have to shout. You don't have
I'm
to shout.
talking to you.
You don't have to shout. So I will please allow us to continue with the meeting, and we will request the Deputy President to respond.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson. Well, we respect the assertion by the Minister, because from where the Minister is sitting, he can tell, or she can tell, from looking at all the crimes that are committed, that most of the crimes indicates that foreign nationals are involved. But as government, we want to say crime, it's a crime, irregardless of who is committing the crime. So the law enforcement agencies, their duty is to arrest people who are committing crime. So the Department of Home Affairs, their duty is to ensure that people who are here in the country, their status must be defined and they must be here legally. So all those who are here in the country undocumented, we trace them, we deport them back to their original countries. Now the challenge that we are putting to you is that we've got porous borders, and we've identified those border posts where we think the infrastructure there is so porous that it allows people in and out as they wish. And we've set aside money to upgrade that infrastructure. But through the Border Management Agency, we are now bringing a combination of agencies, of departments, of institutions that are going to enforce the law in our borders, working together with the Department of Home Affairs, and to ensure that these borders are very seamless. People don't spend days and days trying to cross the border because of our inability to process them quickly. So that is going to be addressed by this border management agency with all the relevant departments and the countries in which we are sharing this border with. So that problem is going to be dealt with. Again, the cross-border crimes, stock theft, car theft, the Department of Police is dealing with those crimes, and we are arresting people that are involved because in the main, even communities in those border areas are affected. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. We will now give to you to respond to question number 4 by the Honorable Mokause, and then the chairperson will take over from here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson. Most of the claims lodged that were without conflict have been settled. The Commission is analyzing all outstanding claims in order to develop a project plan on how to settle them with immediate effect. There are various consultations between the Commission and the landowners to determine those who are willing to sell their properties and those that are disrupting the validity and disputing the validity of the claims. For the landowners that have expressed willingness to sell, the Commission has been directed to proceed with those claims, commissioning the valuation of these properties in order to arrive at a just and equitable compensation, as well as to proceed with the settlement of such claims. Government remains committed to the accelerating the resolutions of older claims. We want to reaffirm the view expressed previously that Parliament has the responsibility to address the shortcomings identified in the Constitutional Court judgment with regards to the amendment of the legislation in order to allow for the reopening of land claims for restitution. We need to remind ourselves that, and the people of South Africa, that the Constitutional Court, in its judgment of the 28th of July 2016 on the matter of the Restitution of Land Rights Amendment Act, did not reject the validity and the correctness of the land reform program as a means to redress past land injustices. Instead, it declared that Parliament failed to satisfy the obligation to facilitate public involvement in accordance with Section 72(1) of the Constitution. The Interministerial Committee on Land Reform and Agriculture considered the implication of the Constitutional Court judgment and advised the Commission on Restitution of Land Rights to prioritize the settlement of older claims that had been submitted by the first deadline of the 31st December 1998. The Commission was further advised to consider various options in the processing of the claims that will allow for claimants to opt for land redistribution or tenure security to avoid onerous requirements of proving past dispossession. To support this process, government is prioritizing the resolution of administrative hurdles and all challenges that are contributing to the slow pace of our land reform progress. Among others, these include the need to strengthen capacity and streamline research and verification process, making provisions for additional human resource in dealing with the backlog, instituting effective processes for the resolution of disputes, including conflicts among beneficiaries themselves, through Section 14 referrals to the Land Claims Court to adjudicate the claims that are under disputes, dealing decisively with incidents of fraud and corruption in the whole process whenever detected. Of the total 6,907 outstanding land claims, the provinces with the bulk claims are KwaZulu-Natal with 2,234 cases, Mpumalanga 1,596 cases, Limpopo 1,406, Eastern Cape 662. Notwithstanding progress in the fast tracking of these cases, the reality is that the current fiscal condition poses some limitation on our ability to move with the necessary speed. The independent financial forecasting projected that approximately 65 billion will be required to settle all outstanding older claims within a period of 5 years. It will therefore be difficult to forecast for the 383 new order claims, as the Commission has not conducted any analysis because of the court order. Nevertheless, we'll continue to support the work of the Commission with the necessary resources available to fast-track the settlement of the outstanding claims. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. We will now proceed to the first follow-up question from Honorable Zanda Mela.
Chairperson, it's Mukause.
Oh, okay. Please proceed, Mukause.
Thank you, Chairperson of the Council. Deputy President, the sad reality brought by your party, the ANC, since they took power in 1994, is that many of those who lost claims before 1998 deadline have since died without ever getting their land back. A clear sign, Deputy President, of counter-revolutionary and that of a party at war with the black majority of South Africa. The delays in finalizing land restitution has a real impact of people traumatized by the pain of land dispossession. Deputy President, the reality is that a lot of ANC leaders dished land amongst themselves, and that includes, Deputy President, yourself, in the case of Barberton. It is alleged, Deputy President, that you literally knocked the people of Barberton off their land. They were fighting for what belongs to them. What measures have your government put in place to deal with corruption, amongst other things, which delays land claims lost between 2014 and 2016? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think we must dispel the notion that myself as Deputy President, I've robbed people of their land. It's one thing that I can't do. It stands against my conviction as a person. I understand the land dispossession and the pain that people felt. So the land and the farm that I occupy, I bought it myself, and it's a small holder farm which belongs to me. I've not taken a farm from anyone. Again, Chairperson, we must acknowledge and accept the slow pace in which we've dealt with the claims. There are reasons that we can put for this delay and the slow pace. Firstly, any claim needs to be investigated. We need to collaborate the evidence that is given by the claimants with the features and the landowner. In most cases, the landowners have dismissed the claims to say there are no claims in their land, because they can also put a contrary story historically about the ownership of that piece of land. That took a bit of time, and the verification process that is stretching. Again, most parties have taken these matters to court, and the court process will delay and take its own process. So yes, these were unforeseen circumstances, that hurdles that are before this process of restituting land to the rightful claimants. But be that as it may, we've identified those shortcomings, and we're improving, we're capacitating the commission with the relevant human resource and probably the financial muscle to try and settle those claims. Like we've said where there's an agreement, they need to send a valuer general to evaluate the land, and we settle. So we're also limited about the availability of money to settle all these claims at once. But of course, the verification process and the landowners refusing to part with the land. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. The second follow-up question comes from Smith. Honorable Smith. Okay.
Chairperson, I just want to bring it to your attention that I raised a hand before the Deputy President could respond to the last part that was made by Honorable Mukausi. But if you permit me, I just want to put it on record that we have said previously that honorable members of the House should not make such disparaging remarks in the name of the Deputy President without substantive motion. The Deputy President has responded to the issue, but when we started in the House, dealt with the rules workshop, all of us, is to contribute to the integrity of the House and the process of responding to questions or any other matter that is tabled in the debates of the House. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much.
Chairperson, on a point
we will have to move on.
On order.
Yeah, but
Chair.
what's the point of order, Mkos?
Chairperson, the EFF has got no obligation whatsoever to treat corrupt ANC leaders with soft gloves. So whatever we say here,
on a point of order, Chairperson.
ANC leaders are corrupt.
On a point of order, Chair.
Yes.
You are out of order.
Can I ask order members? Mukause, can I, at this point, ask you and ask you properly and nicely to please withdraw that comment?
What must I withdraw, Chair? That ANC people are corrupt. I'm not going
to.
No,
if raised in the context of a debate, it's fine. I mean, there's absolutely no problem with it. But I think that we must stop being insensitive. And when a very valid point is being raised about a substantive motion, go to extreme and say all sorts of things. So I'm asking you to withdraw the remark about corrupt ANC leaders and so on, because if you want to debate corruption and you want to make the comments that we are making and so on, we are free and we have a right to put a motion in front of the House. We'll then have a debate. But the remark that we've just made now, I think it's not in keeping with the type of atmosphere and conduct that is expected, especially in relation to the dignity of the House. So I'm asking you to withdraw the remark.
Chairperson, thank you very much. Chair, the country South Africa, it is where it is today because of corruption of the ANC leaders. Ordinary people are without water, sanitation, and housing. That is corruption that has actually been spread by the ANC leaders. I'm not withdrawing anything. ANC leaders are corrupt, and that's it.
I'm giving a warning, and if you don't want to withdraw, I'll ask you to very soon to leave.
But what is wrong about stating facts?
I'm not giving an opportunity to speak. Why are you speaking, member? I've not said you should speak.
Can I speak, Chairperson?
No, you are rude. You are not speaking. Raise your hand.
Ngausa, are you withdrawing your remark?
Chairperson is also speaking. You are not saying anything.
Ngausa, you are the only one I'm allowing to speak. Yeah, please proceed.
Yes. Chairperson,
yes,
ANC leaders are corrupt. We are where we are as.
I'm asking you to leave the house. Thank you very much.
Amber.
I'm now ordering to leave the house.
On the point of order,
very much.
We
will now proceed. Order.
I'm raising a point of order.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think it was
Chairperson, there are hands on the platform.
The person who's supposed to speak now is Honorable Smith. The second question.
On a point of order.
Honorable Smith.
On the point of order, Chairperson.
On a point of order, Chair. Chairperson, we are raising a point of order.
Yes, what's the point of order?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. Why is Honorable Makause being removed from the House? When she's raising facts to the follow-up.
Unfortunately, that's not the point of order.
I was asking the President.
Thank you very much. That's not the point of order.
But Chairperson, you are abusing power.
The second follow-up question.
But Chairperson, you are abusing power.
Honorable Smith.
Chairperson, on the point of order.
Chairperson, it's very difficult to speak when a lot of people are speaking over me.
Please proceed.
Chairperson, right. Sorry, let me just get my question.
Please proceed.
Yes, I'm continuing, Chair. The Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development has recently ignored a request from the DA for a detailed database of all land restitution claims that have been submitted and finalized since 1994. This has led us to conclude that such a crucial database does not exist. As leader of government business, can the Deputy President commit to this House that he will advise Minister Toko Didiza to allow members of Parliament to have access to records and or a database of all land restitution claims that have been processed in South Africa to date? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy President.
Thank you, Chairperson. We are going to assist the House to get the database, all the information that you require in terms of all the claims that were settled. would forward it to the House so that members can have that information available. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. We'll now move on to the third follow-up question. Honorable DeBray.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Deputy President, other than the validity of the land claims, does the relevant departments take into account the ability of claimants of land restitution to productively make use of the land to help ensure food security and economic growth? And if so, how will the department assist these claimants to successfully utilize the land after they received it in a sustainable manner for the foreseeable future in the best interest of all South Africans? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think this is a valid concern. It has been raised many times with government to say all the people that have benefited land has been restituted to them, redistributed to them. They don't have the ability to till the land and to ensure that the land given to them is productive. So as government, the Department of Agriculture, Rural Development and Land Affairs has developed a post-settlement support to all restituted farms and redistributed farms, and also including the farms that we have leased to individuals, so that we ensure that we support them to till the land. Now, this integrated post-settlement support, the farmer support, is going to be delivered at the district level, where national, provincial, and municipal councils will be part and parcel of that platform, where we give integrated support to all our farmers to till the land. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. The fourth follow-up question is from Honorable Mushodi. Honorable Mushodi.
Thanks very much, Honorable Chairperson, and thank you, Honorable Deputy President, for your response to the question. Honorable Deputy President, I am sure that you will concede that land claims by its nature involves conflict, negotiation, and sometimes tedious and non-legal battles. In this light, Honorable Deputy President, to what extent are the set time frames and cost estimation realistic, and is there a plan by the executive to regularly update Parliament on progress on the matter? Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, Honorable President Kialeboa.
Honorable President, Deputy President.
Thank you, Chairperson. Yes, Chair, the Interministerial Committee on Land Reform and the department will continue to provide progress updates on the matter. As highlighted in our response, Chair, there is a need on our side to strengthen our capacity to accelerate the finalization of all outstanding claims. The Commission on Restitution of Land Rights has developed a backlog reduction strategy to ensure that government accelerate all outstanding claims that were lodged before the 31st of December 1998. Of course, Chair, the reality is that the current fiscal constraints are posing a serious limitation on our ability to move with the necessary speed. It has been projected that almost 65 billion will be required to settle all outstanding claims. But we are prepared to update the House on an ongoing basis in terms of the cost, because the cost is not static, and the progress that we are making. We're also committing ourselves that all settled claims, the people who have been given land in terms of the restitution program, people who have been given land through the redistribution program, that information will be available for members to peruse it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. The next question is question 5. Question 5 is on moral regeneration movement. And the question is from Honorable Nana and is directed to the Deputy President. Deputy President.
Thank you, Chairperson. The moral regeneration movement continues to do its best in implementing a range of programs in support of broader social agenda in our country. This movement exists to contribute in building communities grounded on positive values and to ensure that we rededicate ourselves in building a caring society in pursuit of lasting peace and prosperity in our country. We should always be mindful that moral regeneration extends beyond one entity. It is a societal obligation to all of us. Therefore, the question should not just be what the moral regeneration movement has done. Rather, the question should focus on our individual and collective responsibility as public representatives, political parties, civil society, business, and all other sectors of society in trying to rekindle the moral fabric of our society, given the history of where we come from as a country. As government, leading a country with a fractured past and divergent views on the path ahead, we recognize the importance force of moral regeneration in pursuit of nation building and social cohesion. These ideals are informed by some elements perpetuated by the past apartheid system that we seek to undo. Within this context, the work of the moral regeneration movement forms an integral part of our efforts on building social cohesion. In terms of the programmatic intervention led by the moral regeneration movement, these are informed by the Charter of Positive Values, which in itself is an expanded version of the founding values of our Constitution. In promoting these values, Chair, the moral regeneration movement uses platforms of dialogue to build and advance social cohesion within communities. As part of ongoing work being implemented by the movement, there are various initiatives such as the promotion of a Charter of Positive Values across institutions, ethical leadership programs for public office bearers, which include induction of newly elected municipal councillors, strengthening the response of gender-based violence and femicide through the integration of the National Strategic Plan on HIV, TB, and STIs, and the National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide, and the implementation of men and boys social behavior change in partnership with the men's sector of the South African National AIDS Council and the Department of Social Development. Pledges between traditional and quiescent leaders, interfaith leaders, traditional health practitioners, and government to work together in scaling up interventions against all social ills, gender-based violence, femicide, child abuse, teenage pregnancy, and intervention under SANAC to end HIV and TB as a public health threat. Honorable Chairperson, despite numerous challenges confronting our country, such as deep inequality, racial intolerance, high incidence of gender-based violence and femicide, high rates of teenage pregnancy, and many other social ills, we still can attain the goal of a united and a cohesive society. This can only be achieved through the honest commitment and by the active participation that is grounded on strong social compacts with all sectors of society. It remains incumbent upon all of us to continue playing our part in making a positive contribution in building a united, economically inclusive South Africa. The Deputy President, as a patron of the movement, plays an active part in ensuring support to these efforts of the movement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. The first follow-up question will come from Honorable Nana. Honorable Nana.
Enkosi mhlali ngaphambili. Bendibhalile kapha ku-chat box ndacela uDeputy President abe ready banza ubuza ngesiXhosa umbuzo wami. Sekela Mongameli, kuyandikhwanqisa kundothusa kodwa ke ndinethemba loba mhlawumbi umbuzo wokuqala bendikubuza wona kokuba out of 10 i-movement le ungayinika iskoro esithini na. Umbuzo wokugqibela kwimibuzo yam ungqale kuwe ngqa ukuba wena xa uzigoca-goca njengomfo kaMabuza uzibona ingaba ukulungele na ukukhokhela le movement ibaluleke kangaka kwilizwe loba omkhulu. Ndiyathemba ke xa undiphendula Sekela Mongameli mhlawumbi uzawunyathela kwezo ndawo. Umbuzo wami wokugqibela ke sihlalo we-NCOP kuSekela Mongameli uchaphazela umcimbi wolwaphulo-mthetho kwilizwe loba omkhulu. Ngenene ulwaphulo-mthetho lugcwele indawo yonke kwelizwe. Ingaba wena njengomgcini okanye njengenxili yale ntshukumo ibaluleke kangaka uyaluthatha na uxanduva lwazo zonke izinto ezifedileyo ebekumele bazenziwa yile ntshukumo? Enkosi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nana. Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I'm sure I've heard the question. Nami ndizawuzamuphendula nje, ndawufaka isiXhosa nesiZulu. Ukuthi cha, imisebenzi yonke esiyenzayo thina la kule movement, Moral Regeneration Movement, nalabo abayikhokhelayo le movement. Mina ke ngiyayibona imisebenzi abayenzayo, kodwa ke le movement le ifuna wonke umuntu abambe iqhaza. Sengisho ukuthi asikwazi ukuthi sina sonke sihlale sibhekele nje abantu abawu-10 sicabanga ukuthi bangayichange i-course ne-direction the country is going to take. Manje ke bayawenza umsebenzi futhi ke abanayo nemali eningi yokubiza ama-meetings lawa. Yingakho ke bayasebenzisana nama-department afana ne-Department of Health, bayasebenzisana ne-department efana ne-Department of Social Development, ngoba ilapho kukhona khona izinto eziningi ezihlupha imiphakathi. Mina ke kuzaba kubantu esibasizayo, abantu futhi esikhuluma nabo ukuthi basho ukuthi umsebenzi wethu uyabagculisa kanti futhi awubagculisi. Sisebenzile ke namakhosi esifundazweni esifana neKwaZulu Natal, iMpumalanga, iLimpopo. Lapha sibe khona nemihlangano namakhosi, sibe khona nemihlangano nabaholi bezenkolo, futhi ke nemihlangano nalabo abaholi abalapha ngokwendabuko. Sikhulumisene namadoda esicabanga ukuthi kufanele size ukulwisana nokuhlukunyezeka kwamalungelo abantu besifazane nabantwana. Sikhulumisene namadoda nabaholi bezendabuko bezenkolo ngokukhulela kwabantwana. Yingakho nje sithi thina ukuthi silwisane nazo zonke izinkinga ezihlupha umphakathi wakithi kuyodinga thina sonke sibambane. Sikhulume futhi ngezwi linye ukuthi lapho sibona kunento engathi ihlupha ithikameza umphakathi siyisukumele siyikhulume. Sibakhulumisile ke abantu abaholi bezenkolo ukuthi ngaphakathi emasontweni abangayivumeli into ukuthi kukhulela abantwana, abantu abaya lapha emasontweni banikezwe izinto, banikezwe utshani, bathi badla utshani, baphuziswe izinto ezingekho emthethweni. Kuyilungelo labo ukuthi njengabaholi bezenkolo basukume bagxeke konke lokho okwenzeka emphakathini. Sisebenzisana kahle ke nabo bonke. Siyasebenzisana nama-provinces. I-Moral Regeneration Movement le isebenzisana nawo wonke ama-provinces. Inawo amagatsha kuwo wonke ama-provinces lapha bambisene nawo ukulwisana nazo zonke izinto ezihlupha imiphakathi yakithi. Ngakho ke nawe ungasebenzisa yakho ingqondo nje ukujaja iscore ukuthi hayi imisebenzi yenu ngiyibona iyaphumelela, ngiyibona ingaphumeleli, kodwa ungakhohlwa ukuthi nawe kufuna uzijaje, uzinikeze iscore ukuthi wena wenzeni ngaphambi kokuba uzojaja abanye abantu. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. The second follow-up question will come from Honorable Hadebe of the IFP. Honorable Hadebe.
Greetings to you, Honorable Chairperson. My follow-up question to the Honorable Deputy President is, in light of the recently published report by the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into allegations of state capture, fraud and corruption in the public sector, what interventions is Cabinet making in promoting moral regeneration within the public sector to avoid the levels of state capture we have seen? Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Hadebe. Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. With regards to the state capture report, the reports that have been published and even the ones that are still outstanding, the President finally will make a view and will present to Parliament on how best he's going to handle the report and its recommendations. So that is going to take its own shape, and we are going to be informed in due course. But generally, I think the essence of the question is that all of us, as society, as leaders, as political parties, we must continue to condemn corruption. We must work together to prevent corruption wherever it emerges. In the three spheres of government, we must work together to prevent corruption. It is not only in the public service where we should prevent corruption, even in the private sector, because we believe that this corruption happens between the private and the public sector. Now, as we are trying to rebuild our values, positive values, our contribution to nation building, social cohesion, we must condemn all forms of corruptions that will seek to undermine the values that we so cherish as a society. We must also ensure that all those that are going against, that continue to perpetrate corruption, are successfully prosecuted. That is why we encourage all community members to report whatever kind of corruption that they may detect, that they might see, to the law enforcement agencies. It's one thing to talk about corruption in public platforms, but it's another thing to act to prevent and deal with corruption. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. The next question is comes from, as a follow-up question, comes from Honorable Gillian. Honorable Gillian.
Thank you, Chairperson, and greetings, DP. And I need to thank the Deputy President for the answering of the questions. Now, Honorable Deputy President, among the many initiatives of the Moral Regeneration Movement, in July 2021, the Moral Regeneration Movement marked the Moral Regeneration Month, which was geared towards encouraging people to recommit to efforts of building communities grounded on positive values and rededicate themselves to building a caring society in pursuit of creating lasting peace and prosperity in the country. Because moral regeneration is a societal issue, what is the roles of families, communities, leaders, and members of all organizations to build progressive values and morality? I thank you, Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Gillian. Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Our approach as government to moral regeneration should appreciate that the family remains an important unit for any country that aspires to develop and grow. It is at a family level that we can inculcate ethical and cultural values of Ubuntu that is required in building national unity, respect for life, respect for property, building a sense of community security, building patriotism and nationhood. It is the family that carries the primary responsibility, Honorable Chairperson, for the education, socialization of children, as well as instilling values of citizenship and belonging to a society. Where people develop antisocial behaviors and lack of respect for societal rules, the family as a unit should step in and counsel against such behaviors as they undermine the cohesion and the broader society. That is why, as government, we provide the possibility and the possible extent social security interventions in order to shelter the vulnerable children, people with disability, the elderly from socio-economic exclusion, and ensure that they have food on the table. For if people do not feel a sense of belonging, if people don't feel safe, and people don't feel loved, they don't feel obligated to respect societal values. So yes, I agree with the honorable member that as much as we put the family unit at the center of our efforts as a country to build social cohesion, we must, as leaders in our different parties, political parties, all sectors in our society, to work together to inculcate these positive values and strengthen the work of the family as a basic unit of our society. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. The fourth follow-up question comes from Honorable Apleni. Apleni.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Deputy President, the governing party has been plagued by corruption and abuse of power since it assumed office in 1994. The details of this were laid bare by the Zondo Commission into the state capture, which showed how deeply corruption has taken root in the ANC. Now, can the Deputy President of such a party, therefore, be entrusted with carrying out the various interventions needed by the movement? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. The governing party, which is leading government, the ANC, it's not corrupt. It's individual leaders that are found to be in conflict with the law. And those individual leaders, as the ANC, we took a decision that we are not going to conceal their activities. We are not going to protect anyone who has committed a crime, who has stolen money from the public. Now, it's a very noble stand that we have taken as the ruling party, not to protect those of our own that have done wrong, but we want to stand on the right side of the law and ensure that society is protected. So all those leaders within the governing party, within your party, honorable member, within all parties that are corrupt, they must face the mighty of the law. And we must not seek to protect them. We must not seek to shield them from the law enforcement agencies. And we must, as responsible citizens, take the necessary step and report corruption, where corruption is seen, where corruption is detected. I said it's one thing to talk about corruption, and it's another thing to be seen working to eliminate corruption entirely in our society. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. We'll now move over and on to question number 6. The question is on economic reconstruction and recovery plan. The question comes from Honorable Mtetwa and is directed to the Deputy President. Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. In line with the Intergovernmental Relations Framework that is implemented through the President's Coordinating Council and Mahutla, the President continues to bring all spheres of government to make South Africa a better place. We thus confirmed that the implementation of the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan is being coordinated across all spheres of government. At the level of the national government, the implementation of the Economic Recovery Reconstruction and Recovery Plan is coordinated by ministerial economic sectors, investment, employment, and infrastructure development cluster to ensure uniformity and consistency in its implementation across all provinces and state-owned entities. Where gaps are identified in the implementation process, the Department of Planning and Monitoring and Evaluation has facilitated a number of engagement across government and state entities and is working with relevant stakeholders to ensure closer alignment in this regard. There are also ongoing assessment of national and provincial governments' contribution to the achievement of the plan, intervention as well as the spatial location of projects that are outlined in the plan based on our annual performance plans of government departments. From the interactions between national, provincial governments, there is identification of areas of alignment between economic reconstruction and recovery plan priorities and provincial growth and development strategies of the different provinces. Among others, these interactions have been focused on providing clarity on 4 priority interventions of the plan, which are embarking on a massive rollout of infrastructure, rapidly expanding the country's energy generation capacity, implementing large-scale job intervention to support livelihoods, and driving industrial growth. The ongoing assessment also looks into the review of regulations that may inhibit the speedy rollout of priority programs as outlined in the plan. This seeks to review and address policy and regulatory matters to reduce cost of doing business through modernization of visa application processes, to enhance tourism and transforming the network industries, including electricity, water, transport, and digital communication. The work of reviewing policy and regulatory matters will be coordinated in partnership with provincial and local spheres of government, where implementation of developmental programs and delivery of services takes place. In this regard, the President has announced during the State of the Nation address our focus on creating an enabling environment through the creation of the Red Tape Reduction Office, which will be located in the Office of the President. Some of the tangible outcomes are interventions related to improving access to digital television broadcasting and communication services by the Department of Communication and Digital Technologies. This is on reducing the digital divide and the release of high-demand spectrums that have been taken on board in provincial planning. The Department of Trade and Industry and Competition is working closely with provincial government in an effort of repurposing South Africa's manufacturing sector towards strategic location. There is a lot more work that lies ahead before we get the country to the full path of economic recovery. The recent gross domestic product results by State South Africa presents a glimmer hope, with the country's economy said to have grown by 4.9% in 2021 compared to 2020, where we saw a decrease of 6.4%. We just have to work harder and act now to reverse existential challenges we confronted prior to the COVID-19 pandemic and those that are resultant from the pandemic. Just as the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan was developed by social partners through intense consultation, let us therefore continue to build on this strength of working together across all divides to defeat unemployment, poverty, and inequality. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. The first follow-up question will come from Honorable Mtetwa. Honorable Mtetwa.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President, for your response to my question. Indeed, it was detailed. Are there any example of positive outcome, Deputy President, in terms of economical program based to the conditions of different spheres of government in the implementation of the economical reconstruction and recovery plan? Are there any practicalities that you can give it to us, Mongameli? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. One example is the presidential employment stimulus that has supported close to 700,000 opportunities across a range of programs through the creation of new work opportunities, the protection of existing jobs in vulnerable sectors, and support for livelihoods. As part of the Presidential Employment Stimulus Initiative, a number of subsistence farmers have retained their productive capacity and provided much-needed household for security. The rollout of these programs has been done in partnership with the Solidarity Fund, the National House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders, and provincial departments of agriculture. About 40,000 farmers were supported through the Solidarity Fund and the Traditional House. An additional 53,000 farmers were supported through the national and provincial department-driven initiatives. As part of regulatory reform, an independent communications authority of South Africa, ICASA, has reported good news, Honorable Chairperson, on the auctioning of licenses for the state-owned controlled airwaves, and we're pleased that the process have surpassed its initial target. This will support the lowering of the cost of data, improving broadband coverage, including a broad and speed, including our rural reforms. On the infrastructure front, the fast-tracking of phase one of Umzivu water project that is located in the Eastern Cape, which includes the construction of Ntabelanga, Lalelani, and Mbogazi dams, set to supply water to thousands of households in the OR, Tambo, Jogabi, and Alfred Nzo district, respectively. These projects will improve water supply to rural areas within the provinces and provide much-needed employment opportunities to local communities. The upscaling of Welili Isizwe Rural Bridge Program to deliver 95 bridges a year from the current 14 is in progress. These are some of the initiatives that are there in our reconstruction and development program that I can highlight, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. The next question, which is the follow-up question, is from Honorable Lutuli. Honorable Lutuli.
Ngibonge hlalo sekula mongameli kulezi zinhlelo okade uyishitshenga ngazo namhlanje ingabe zikhona yini ezizocreate additional state owned companies ezizokwazi ukuletha nokwenza amathuba emisebenzi kulabantu abawu11 million esinabo lapha eNingizimu Afrika bangasebenzi if zikhona zithini inhlelo onazo ngiyabonga kakhulu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President.
manufacturing, especially in the economic zones that have been identified in the different provinces, in Limpopo, in Mpumalanga, in the Free State, where the Department of Trade and Industry and Competition is working together with provinces to try and develop those economic zones and allow SMMEs to utilize that space so that they can start manufacturing different kinds of products so that they can grow their companies and grow their potential. We hope that in the process, when these economic zones are fully functional, as supported by the national government and provincial government, we will be in a position to make a dent in terms of the unemployment figures that the honorable member has cited. But again, we're also insisting on companies. We're giving them a grant to try and employ young people so that they can get experience. Now, as you employ young people, government will be able to give you a grant so that you give them an opportunity to gain the necessary experience. The employment stimulus, it has worked very well because we have managed to create more than 700,000 jobs. So we're utilizing different tools and different platforms to try and address the unemployment challenge that we're facing as a country. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. The third follow-up question comes from Honorable De Bruin. Honorable De Bruin.
Honorable Chair, I will handle Honorable De Bruin's question. He's got connectivity issues.
Okay, please
Honorable
proceed.
Chair, thank you. Mr. Deputy President, as no economy can thrive without decent and sustainable infrastructure, how will the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan address the issue of South Africans' dilapidated infrastructure, and what investments will be made in infrastructure? Thank you, Deputy President.
Thank you very much. Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much. As we have stated, Honorable Member, that Cabinet has approved the Infrastructure Investment Plan 2050, indicating a wide range of projects that are going to be undertaken, and these infrastructure projects are meant to enhance the economy, to facilitate economic development, like projects that are aimed at improving our energy generation capacity as a country, allowing also municipalities to generate. Projects that are meant to deal with our road infrastructure so that we can gain access, people can move commodities, can move their products from one point to the other. Projects like water, investment in water infrastructure so that water for industrial use and water for domestic use can easily be accessed in abundance. We are also putting more money in terms of the maintenance of infrastructure, also to accelerate movement. In our rural areas, we have identified rural roads together with rural bridges that would enable mobility of people, whether they are going to school, whether they are going to social facilities, whether they are moving their commodities, doing business, so that there's facilitated movement of people. We think in that regard, these interventions are going to facilitate our speedy recovery and allow more and more of our people to be economically active once more again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. The fourth and the last supplementary question, or follow-up question, comes from the Honorable Ryder. Honorable Ryder.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Deputy President, good afternoon. We told you don't really like coming to Parliament, but most of us are friendly and nice, and you can start to relax now. This is the last question for you today. Deputy President, here is the Economic Reconstruction and Redevelopment Plan. It's 38 pages long. It's not rocket science. Energy and energy security is, however, mentioned 20 times in the document. So we talk about the capable state, and yet here we find ourselves where we were experiencing load shedding again just last week. Now, I accept that Eskom is going through a restructure, but there seems to be a total lack of urgency and an underappreciation of the level of anger among South Africans. Deputy President, the impact on our economy of load shedding, especially stage 3 and higher, is profound. The original question from Honorable Mtetwa related to engaging all spheres of government around the ERRP. Now, local government uses electricity margins to cross-subsidize service delivery, so it's got a financial impact on them. Businesses need electricity so that they can manufacture or trade, which then allows them to pay rates and taxes, pay taxes to government, and to create jobs. Deputy President, what is being done to deal with the load shedding? And when can we expect to see tangible impact of the restructuring that's happening at Eskom? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I think the concern is well placed. We understand the hardship and the suffering our people are going through on a daily basis because of the load shedding. But we must also appreciate the attempts on the side of government to try and close that gap and probably ramp up our generation capacity. We have allowed the independent power producers to enter the space. We have allowed bid window 3, 4, 5, and all those projects are in the process of construction. Some of them have joined the grid. Some of them are giving electricity, but not enough to offset load shedding. The two power stations that are brand new, Gusile and Medupi, are still having some technical glitches. They are not working as expected. And I'm sure with the passage of time, all those technical glitches will be resolved. We have also allowed municipalities to, where there's capacity to generate their own electricity, and I'm sure those efforts will take long to be realized. But we've opened the playing field wide enough to allow different players to come into the fray and assist in the generation of electricity. We've also allowed business to generate electricity up to 100 megawatts. That's very sufficient to carry along their businesses and to continue to be in production. So all those efforts are not going to be an overnight event. They are not going to necessarily give us energy by tomorrow. Of course, our aging power stations that are coal-powered They still continue to give us problems in terms of maintenance. They are not reliable enough in terms of securing the power for the country. The unplanned outages in those power stations are more than the planned outages, which disrupt any plan by the leadership of ESCOM to provide reliable electricity to the whole country. By that, we must, as government, really apologize for all these hiccups that disrupt the life of ordinary people and businesses. But we're committing ourselves, we're on a path of recovery, and we're going to deal with our energy situation and restore the country to its full potential. We understand very well that energy is one of the components that we need in order for this economy to recover. Water is one component that we need in order for this economy to grow. That we understand well and good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. Honorable members and delegates, I would like to take this opportunity to express appreciation to the Deputy President for availing himself to answer questions by and from members.